After one controversy after another, and so many unpopular choices, we really have to look at the possible futures EA still has in the gaming industry, a publisher in which almost no one has any trust in anymore. In this video I would like to discuss possible futures for this giant that seems to fall. As a short disclaimer, these are personal opinions, I don't have any insight into EA or second-hand information or anything like that. This is just a personal analysis of the situations and nothing more than theoretical. Normally I would use game footage of a game that is more appropriate for the situation like an EA game, but I decided a while ago not to support any EA games anymore, and this also means not give them any exposure. I know for many of you EA is the worst gaming company for many years now. Not so long ago I would have disagreed with you. Then EA had many interesting development teams under their umbrella, and they gave us many different game experiences. While on the other hand, every Ubisoft game started to feel the same, and Activision didn't have too much to offer besides Call of Duty, Destiny and some very bad licensed games. And all the shady monetization things aside, which by the way the other companies don't fall really back by far, isn't this the most important part? Having interesting and different IPs. Problem is just EA has put most of his companies in the last years out, and there is not really a lot left. Besides that, there are clearly two other trends. Esports titles like Madden or FIFA are running very strong, what also shows in the fact that EA fights back against having to take out loot boxes in this type of games, while in other IPs they clearly tuning back in fear of more backlash, and also they really try hard to get a foothold in the mobile game market by shifting famous IPs like Command & Conquer in this direction. What have EA Sport games and mobile games in common? Well, both aren't really popular with gamers. The people playing these games are mostly, for the lack of a better word, normies. The ones that buy maybe one or two games in a year, the newest entry of their favorite sports games and maybe Call of Duty or anything like that, and playing mobile games to pass time. Hardly people I will call gamers. Gamers play probably around one or two games in a month, and they don't play games to pass time. They invest hours upon hours for their hobby, and most of them care what happens behind the games. What are game studios doing they like, what are the latest news, what is coming out in the next months, and so on. The normies, they don't give a fuck about controversies and other things like that. They don't invest the time to see what is behind a game. That's not a critic at these people. I mean, they have other hobbies I won't invest much time in. What I just want to say with that is that EA sees a big opportunity. Because normies are used to free games monetizations, they aren't really the ones that complaining. The gamers are the ones complaining. With that said, that is what I see for the future of EA, moving out of the market games for gamers and making games for normies or occasional games instead. Some of you may think this would be a loss, but I personally think just go. EA, you don't bring anything positive into gaming culture anymore. Just leave and take Ubisoft and Activision with you.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have
Everyone's got a
phones,
phone.
right?
You can play your tablet too.
We don't need you guys anymore. For almost 10 years you are systematically ruining games. Give your space up for smaller studios, indie developers, and your Japanese concurrents, except Konami of course. Give room to developers who care, who believe creating games can still be an art form and want to create things that last and not just want to shit out the same garbage every year over and over again. The analysis doesn't stop here. There are still 3 big studios under EA we have to talk about and look at the projects to determine if my theory is in any way realistic. Let's start with DICE. I believe we can leave the Battlefront franchise out of the discussion because I don't see any reasonable future for this game, and let's focus on Battlefield. If you told me at the beginning of this year that there could be a future without Battlefield, I would have said that's impossible. Battlefield will live forever like Call of Duty. Now I'm honestly not too sure about that anymore, and if there is even a future for Battlefield. Battlefield 5 is a disaster and will bomb for sure. I don't see any hope for that game. Okay, sure, that doesn't mean the death of the whole franchise, but for EA saving future Battlefield games, they seriously have to do a 180-degree turn from here and stop pandering to SJW nonsense and their fictional billion-strong crowd that seems to buy games and listen to their real customers that actually buy their games. But I just don't see that happening in the climate of 2018 and probably 2019, in which this absolute crazy and hetero people actually have power over a company like EA. It's just not really a sensible idea to follow the hate campaign against white men if white men are then top demographic of your products. Just saying, I mean, normally it doesn't need a genius to see that, and you could think a money-hungry company like EA would know better. But they don't, and for that reason, I don't think they can save the Battlefield franchise. Second studio is BioWare, and I mean it may be different for you, but nothing I have seen so far about Anthem makes me excited for the game. Doesn't mean it will be a bad game, I just say it completely fell out of my radar. It's not a game I'm looking forward to, and if it wouldn't even come out, I would not care. The only thing this could change is if the game comes out really good and gets crazy good reviews and recommendations. Otherwise, it's an IP I can live without it. BioWare also talks about plans for a new Dragon Age and that they haven't given up on Mass Effect. However, BioWare is not the studio anymore that we once knew. Many important developers have left the studio in the last years, and I don't think they can replace them so easily. I believe BioWare will try to make these games, but they will lose popularity over time because they won't deliver the products people want from them, and then sooner or later they also will get booted by EA. I personally don't feel any excitement for their IPs anymore. Lastly, we have Respawn that is working on a new Star Wars game. It is not hard to predict that the game will probably come out around November 2019 to hype up everyone for Episode 9. And I know that Titanfall 2 is liked by many, mostly because of the strong single-player campaign. Now here are the problems I see with this project and why there probably won't be much coming after that. First, the game won't be focusing on single-player. EA has already stopped Star Wars single-player projects. They want to make as much money as possible, what means focus on multiplayer and stupid monetization systems that will make this game almost unplayable. Respawn or not, EA will have the last word with a project like that, and they will try everything to milk out more money of their customers. Finally, after the absolute shit show that was The Last Jedi, the excitement for Episode 9 couldn't be anywhere lower. How many bought Battlefront 2 just because it had Star Wars in the title, or because they couldn't wait for the movie finally coming out? Sadly, having Star Wars in the title doesn't mean anything anymore, so hype for the game will be low and many will be really cautious to buy this game, and probably wait for first reviews coming in before deciding. So with low excitement for all upcoming EA IPs, I just don't see how they ever will make a comeback, and I'm not really sure if they want to, as long as they make so much money with Ultimate Team and crappy mobile games. With that, we come to the last aspect I want to bring in this discussion, and that is all the backlash about the loot boxes from countries like Belgium and others that look now more into loot boxes thanks to that. So there is absolutely a possibility that in many countries in the future, loot boxes will count as gambling, but of course will lower the value of EA sports games and maybe even some mobile games. This may influence my theory if Madden or FIFA doesn't make as much money anymore. However, there are sadly more than enough monetization methods that are for some reason accepted, and I believe EA will find new methods to make money out of these games, even without loot boxes and the Ultimate Team modes. Then, if EA decides to keep to their sports franchises and mobile games to make as much money with the least amount of effort, I personally don't think they will leave a wide gap in the market behind, and there probably won't be many that will miss them. With that, I am at the end of my predictions. Leave a comment how you feel about EA. Thank you for watching, and please leave a like if you have a phone.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have
Everyone's got a
phones,
phone.
right?
You can play on your tablet too.